The Chargers made some key plays defensively late to secure their first win of the season, but they couldn't have done it without the dynamic duo of Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Drogemeyer, and we've been covering the Chargers together for 8 seasons now, but this is our 6th year as a host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. First victory post-game show of the season. Thank you all for making us your first listen, and to make sure you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel, and listen wherever you get your podcast from. Wow, chaotic. It was an insane, the game we watched on Sunday. Felt like the Chargers were going to Charger, but at the end of the day, they found a way to get the victory, and it was made, a couple of plays made defensively, but Justin Herbert, nearly flawless. Keenan Allen, a historic performance, and we're going to talk about all that, including the big decision by Brandon Staley that totally backfired. Was it the right call? We're going to get into that, as well as also Tuli Tuipulotu. My God, man, the Chargers might have got a steal in this year's draft because that dude looked awesome. But this episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs, who helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. David, it was chaotic. The Chargers find a way to pull off the 28-24 victory against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. I think a better team than their 0-3 record now would lead you to believe, but it happened as we knew it would in chaotic, dramatic fashion, with Kenneth Murray, of all people, probably saving Brandon Staley's job by picking off Kirk Cousins with 6 seconds left in this game.
I was pacing like a madman back and forth with, this game, such a roller coaster of emotion. It's never easy. It's just never easy watching a Chargers football game. But man, did they need this win. They needed this win desperately. This win changes the trajectory of their season single-handedly.
Agreed.
I know it was ugly. I know it was not perfect, but at the end of the day, they get their first win since January 1st of this year.
Yeah, man, and it couldn't have come soon enough, right? It gives them a chance to go play the Raiders next week, get to 2-2 at the bye week. All of a sudden, the Cowboys look like a flawed team after losing to the Cardinals, so, things may open up, and they still have issues, and we're going to talk about that, right? It was far from perfect, but we do have to talk about the historic performance put up by Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, as we saw, just being very good wasn't good enough for the Chargers to get a win the first couple of weeks. It almost wasn't good enough with the game he put up today. But, David, we have to tip our hat to what was a truly special performance by a dude who's been doubted a lot over these first couple of weeks.
I saw a stat out there that showcased that they blitzed Justin Herbert 80% of the time. And Justin
per
Herbert,
Daniel Popper, it was 40 of his 49 dropbacks Justin Herbert was blitzed in this game. I think it's from True Media. Nuts.
Which is absolutely insane, and that did not deter him whatsoever. 85% completion percentage. He stepped up in the pocket. He extended plays. He was just feathering throws over defenders. Yeah. Justin Herbert was in absolute rare form today in this football game. He was unstoppable. It was just a thing of beauty to watch. And unfortunately for him and for the Chargers, that's the type of performance that it required for the Chargers to get this win.
Yeah, and like I said, it still almost wasn't enough. But from Benjamin Solak, highest completion percentage ever for anyone who's ever thrown 45 passing attempts in a game. 123.8 passer rating, 93.3 QBR, almost perfection there. Threw some balls down the field as we all wanted to see, as well as, basically slept. Also doing it literally with no running game. Josh Kelly, 10 carries for 11 yards. That's what we're talking about here. It was, he had to put on Superman's cape, and he did. And I think when you think back on the craziest throws, right, the first sidearm throw to Donald Parham was nuts. Then again to Donald Parham on 4th and goal when you have to have it, right, fitting in an absolute missile. How did Donald Parham catch that? I don't know. Both of them were tough catches. The back foot deep ball he threw to Josh Palmer down the sideline that set up the touchdown before halftime. To see that performance, David, after, what we witnessed the first couple of weeks, he truly is a historic player, now has the most completions of any quarterback ever in his first 4 seasons. there's 14 games left. Like, we're going to see a lot of records broken by Justin Herbert this year, but he couldn't have done it, right, without the Robin to his Batman, right? The only player on the field today that had a higher passer rating than Justin Herbert was Keenan Allen. And, man, after seeing how much this dude was doubted during this offseason, for him to go and have the performance that he had on Sunday against the Vikings, it was incredible. Keenan Allen truly, was the motor for this offense on Sunday and did everything he could to get this win, and it ended up going down in the history books as one of the better receiver performances of all time.
Keenan Allen was unbelievable in this football game. He was completely unguardable. It doesn't matter who you put in front of him. He knew where the defenders were going to be at. He knew what leverages to exploit. He knew how to get open, and he caught everything, almost everything his way. 18 receptions on 20 targets, 215 yards. And he was automatic on third down, Daniel. I mean, just third and Keenan running all day long. It just was, man, it was unbelievable to watch. I think there was a lot of people that was definitely doubting Keenan in this offseason. I was not one of them. You were not one of them. I felt like Keenan was going to have one of the best years of his career, and it's performances like this that confirm that thought. Keenan Allen was truly incredible in this football game.
Yeah, I mean, can we talk about the play, right? Kellen Moore running a ton of wide receiver screens, flares Keenan Allen out to the right side. Keenan Allen has the composure to, with three dudes rushing at him, float a ball over the top to find a wide open Mike Williams. Man, David, what a play call. That's setting up play calls, right? We saw it in real time. Kellen Moore set that up, and we'll talk about the decisions Kellen Moore made later in the game, but that was a heck of a call, David. So to have a 215-yard performance, also with a 50-yard, 49-yard touchdown, I'll give him 50 on top of that, I don't think we're going to see that kind of performance ever again. He's the only player to do that, according to Jason Reed from Boltbeat. I mean, that was insane.
I mean, Keenan Allen just became the first player in NFL history to record 200 receiving yards and a passing touchdown in the same game. This was also Keenan Allen's 14th career game with 11 or more receptions, which is the most in NFL history.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen was in rare form today. That double pass touchdown was a thing of beauty, and it almost looked like he looked off to safety a little bit while he made that throw to Mike Williams, and Mike Williams just walked into the end zone. But yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like when you set up play calls. When you set up things later on in the game, you kind of lull them to sleep and you really annoy them with all those wide receiver screens. And then when you're not looking for it, bam, they hit you with the double pass and hit the beautiful trick play touchdown, and man, that was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, to think about the receivers the Chargers have had, right, like Hall of Famers in their receiver room, and know that Keenan Allen now is the most receiving yards of any of them ever, right?
Yeah.
Best single game performance, most 15 catch games in NFL history. He's had 3 15-plus catch games. I mean, it's unreal. He doesn't, he never gets enough credit, obviously. No. Are there certain screen passes and stuff I'd like to go to someone other than Keenan Allen? Sure. Keenan Allen put this offense on his back today. They had no running game. They lost Mike Williams late in this game, and we'll talk about that later. It had to be him, and he stepped up to the plate and put together the best game of his entire career. And through 3 games in 2023, he has 32 catches, 402 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Put some respect on the Slayer's name.
To go into a game with Justin Jefferson getting to go against the Chargers-specific defense, and you out-yardage him by as much as he did, is not something I thought we would be talking about after this game. I mean, Justin Jefferson had 149, and Keenan Allen said, hold my beer, right? Credit to the Vikings defense who, made things tough on the Chargers offense in certain times, right? But the Chargers had some plays to beat the blitz. But, and that's that kind of thing where it's like, hey, if you're blitzing, you might
blitz
get hit
at
with
your
that
own
double
peril.
man. Yeah, exactly. Maybe we didn't see enough of that, but I do think to complement this offense the way that he did with the running game, which was abysmal. I don't know. I mean, I think you have to give a lot of credit to the Chargers offensive line as well, who didn't do much as far as run blocking goes, weren't opening up a ton of holes, but they pass protected pretty darn well in this game. Justin Herbert
1 sack. That's it.
Did an incredible job of navigating the pocket, extending plays, making big plays down the field. Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, dynamic duo. We're lucky we get to watch them. But Brandon Staley's decision on 4th down, was it the decision? Was it the play call? We're going to get into that coming up right after this. First, though, I do need to tell you guys about LinkedIn, because these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business, and you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, because LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Without the Chargers may have been using LinkedIn Jobs to potentially search for a new head coach after the decision and how it backfired in this game. But if you need to find someone, they use the best tools like screening questions. They make it easy to focus on candidates with the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and who you'd like to hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality candidates versus their leading competitors. And right now, LinkedIn Jobs can help you find that qualified candidate. All you have to do is go to linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. David, let's talk about the call. The thing that lit up social media. If things had turned out worse for the Chargers, if the Chargers lose the game, this is the moment everyone would have looked at, right? I mean, that's just, it is what it is, because Brandon Staley made the gutsy, risky, dumb, whoever you ask, you're going to get a different kind of definition of what the call was. But 4th and 1, your own 24-yard line, 1:51 remaining on the clock. The Vikings have no timeouts. You decide to go for it, you backfire. So let's start with this. Do you have an issue with Brandon Staley going for it? Would you have rather seen him punt the ball and let his defense try to stop Kirk Cousins in their offense with, 1:40 left?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really tough one. I think analytically, when you look at that decision, that's definitely something that they actually would push for, just because you had a 4-point lead in that situation, and it was around a yard or less. I mean, they really felt
the analytics would push for going for it, not punting.
Yeah. Right. So I think personally in that situation, I probably would have punted that one away. I mean, just no timeouts for the Vikings, and you have to force them to not score a field goal. They have to go down there and score a touchdown, and they're going to have to be perfect with their time management. So, I mean, I probably would have punted it away. But I mean, I didn't have a huge problem with them actually going for it after thinking about it and looking at it again. But I don't like the play call that they went with. I felt like Justin Herbert was dicing these Vikings defenders up left and right all game long. Put it in his hands. Let him go get the first.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's look at the analytics. Ben Baldwin, who puts out all these projections, right? According to his model, the Chargers would have had a 9.5% better chance to win the game by going for it as opposed to punting it. It was an 80% chance if you punt it and an 89.5% chance if you didn't and you went for it. But still, the analytics said go for it. An easy go for it, not even close. Right. I understand Chargers fans have problems with that. I mean, if I'm the head coach, I'm definitely punting it. I wouldn't have the stones to, roll my offense back out there and put them that close, considering how bad the defense was for a lot of this game, right? But you're right. To me, it does have a lot more to do with the play call. I mean, knowing your team, right? And just game flow and how the game has gone up to that. All that stuff matters. Yeah. I think we know the offense is the strength of this team, right? We know the defense is incredibly flawed. If you're going to tell me you have one play for Justin Herbert to go and win you that game, I'm going to sign up for that in most occasions, because for the Chargers, I mean, that's going to be the best scenario some weeks, right? So, I understand all that. The problem is Justin Herbert didn't get it in his hands, right? The Chargers trying to do some sort of, offset eye formation, fullback sweep or dive, basically, right up the middle with Josh Kelly. He gets nothing. Yeah. Absolutely stonewalled. On the day, the Chargers averaged 2 yards per carry, and it was actually worse for their running backs. Justin Herbert was propping it up with his 3.5 yards per carry.
Yeah.
That's the part that I had a major problem with, David. If you're going to run it, sneak it. Justin Herbert's bigger than Joshua Kelly. By
what I'm saying?
And the thing is in the time it takes to make the handoff, even though it wasn't a slow handoff or anything like that, it gives them time to penetrate. It gives them time to reset their ground and keep pushing forward, right? Yeah, I hated that play call. I'd rather, so I had a problem with the run 2 plays before that, right? Yeah. 2 plays before that, on 1st and 2nd down, the Chargers decided to run the ball both times, setting themselves up with a 3rd and 10. That's the thing I think they needed to avoid there. If you're going to run that screen that you ran to Keenan Allen, that's great. Do it on 2nd down, right? It's Justin Herbert to Keenan Allen. The ball is going to be completed. It's the same as a run anyway. You're going to run the clock. Why are you running on back-to-back plays? I understand trying to run clock. It's been terrible for you all day. I think you have to know better than that. And I think it is, we're still seeing this team trying to figure things out in late game situations. So to me, it is much more about the play call, than actually going for it. I don't blame Brandon Staley for going for it there. I think that it just should have been a better play call. And even though that might be an unpopular opinion right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it may be, but like I said, I wanted the Chargers to finish with the football, and that's exactly what they were trying to do. They like if they get that, that's it. It's game over. And of course, no, we're not talking about this in the same light. You know, if they convert it, it's always Jekyll and Hyde. You know, you go for it and you get it, you look like a genius. You don't, and you look like an idiot. So it's always that double-edged sword. And it's always process over results when you're talking about Brandon Staley and his decision making. Like, that's always what he's going to go for. And, you know, everyone backed him up. All the players said, hey, we are all for going for it. And even if they don't get it, we have trust in our defense to go out there and get those stops. And fortunately, this time it worked out and they did get the stops they needed.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there's plenty that Brandon Staley can take accountability for in this game, right? Like, just because of the defense. This isn't where I would go after him for. I think it was the right decision to go for. I think the Chargers had a terrible play call in that situation after you haven't been able to run the ball all day. You're not getting much push. I just trust, hey, I'd rather have Josh Kelly pushing into the back of Justin Herbert and helping him get over the first down than just
the whole Jalen Hurts one,
Exactly. But I do think we do have to shout out the defense a little bit just for the last couple of plays. There's plenty that went wrong in this game, but at the end of this game, the Chargers were up in the fourth quarter, and the Chargers defense came away with back-to-back red zone stops. Let's start with the first one. 4:23 left. Vikings had a 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. Alohi Gilman on that play goes and drops Alexander Madison on the 1-yard line, right? Saves a touchdown. Next play, from the 1-yard line, 2nd and goal from the 1. Kenneth Murray, who won this game with his interception after Nick Niemann batted that ball in the air, shout out to Nick Niemann too, was way into the end zone. And I'm like, you dummy. What are you doing, you know? Well, he gets a running start, times things up perfectly, knifes into the backfield, drops Madison for a tackle for loss, and I think totally changed what the play call would have been the next two plays.
Yeah.
3rd and 4th down, the Vikings end up incompleting both passes, right? They even have a penalty on 4th down. The Chargers come away with that. Then at the end of the game, you give up 4th down. The Vikings totally mismanaged the end of that. I don't know what they were thinking, not being able to, or kind of having to.
I guess they were trying
situation.
to get the Chargers in a certain formation and kind of catch them off guard. But I mean,
okay, even if that's the case,
decision.
though, like there was no urgency at all. I mean, it just didn't make any sense to me. But I think you have to give them credit for that, David, while also realizing there's still a long way to go for this defense.
Oh, 100% a long way to go. But, I mean, this is from Daniel Popper here. So the unit faced 10 plays in the red zone on the Vikings' final 2 offensive possessions, and they did not allow a single point. So you got to give credit where credit is due. Also, I think they rushed the passer exceptionally well in this game as well. They had 13 QB hits and 4 sacks in this game, so they did get very good pressure all throughout this ball game. But yeah, they're definitely not without fault. They still gave up a ton of explosive plays. Two to Justin Jefferson alone. And of course a touchdown that you allowed on a 4th down, which is a cardinal sin. You can never ever allow that. So yes, the Chargers got it done, but it was not without their issues that they had in this football game. Still a long way to go.
Yeah, it just sucks because like they had that was great at the end of the game. The Chargers defense went out there, and even if it was like we finished this game, and finishing the game is the whole thing for the Chargers right now.
Amen.
It's everything. It's the number one talking point. It's the way you get over Jacksonville. It just doesn't feel as great when it happens the way it did, obviously. Chargers run defense comes crashing back down to earth, right? Give up 5.4 yards per carry, 130 yards to a team that was abysmal running the football the first 2 weeks. Justin Jefferson still goes off for 149 and a touchdown. I'm not even that mad at him for that. It's the worst game he's had this season statistically, right? What kills me, though, the 3rd down penalties, man. Like, Derwin James, I feel for you, brother. Like, truly, man. Like, I don't know what they want him to do in these situations. He gets another unsportsmanlike, unnecessary roughness, I should say. But Michael Davis, 3rd and 11 late in the game, gives up a 1st down automatically on a play that was going nowhere. On the play the Chargers had covered up perfectly, illegal hands to the face. And you got borderline perfection from the Chargers offense, right? Like, they were so good. In this game, and it still came down to the final moments. I mean, it's the penalties that kill me the most, like the run defense and how the Chargers feel in that regard after having 2 pretty positive performances. It's hard to feel good about that. So there's still a long way to go, but like, get the win, get out, figure it out. Do I have a lot of faith? No, that they're going to figure it out and be a great defense after this game? No, I don't have a lot of faith in that. I think you got as a positive of a momentum as you could get at the end of this game the way it ended, but still a long way to go. But what I will tell you, though, Tuli Tuipulotu isn't the problem, because that dude is a freak. Tuli Tuipulotu, the Chargers got a dude, and I can't wait to talk about him after this. Before having to talk about something a little bit more unfortunate, which is Mike Williams, after having a really good performance in this one, going down with what seems like a pretty serious leg injury. So we're going to talk about that coming up right after this. First, though, I need to tell you guys about DoorDash, and right now, it's DoorDash season. Do you need fresh groceries for the week but don't have time to go to the store because you spent all day watching football? Try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered when you need it, right to your door. You've trusted DoorDash to deliver your favorite restaurant favorites, and now you can get grocery delivery that actually delivers too. DoorDash is essential from Football Sunday. If you have an emergency Football Sunday kit, you have to have DoorDash on speed dial, because you can't always leave to get the pizza and the dips and the groceries that you want, right? You don't have time. Red Zone goes 7 hours straight, and you need to see every touchdown. Use DoorDash, stay home, and they will help you out. But right now, since you listen to this show, you can get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use the code LOCKEDONNFL at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. But again, guys, 50% off, up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the code LOCKEDONNFL. Don't forget, that's LOCKEDONNFL for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. Thank you again to the everydayers who are here after the first couple of tough losses. Still get to come back here for this much better, much happier. We have to enjoy it, Charger fans, man.
Yes, enjoy
I put this out on Twitter or X, whatever. It's just like, hey, I know there's a lot they have to work out, but like, let us enjoy this one Sunday, and then we'll get back to reality later. There was a lot of good that came out of this game. Nothing better than the Chargers finding a way to win this game, especially when the chips were down and it seemed like everything was going the opposite way. You had somebody make a play, but there wasn't many out there, David, that were making more plays than Chargers' second-round rookie, Tuli Tuipulotu. David, second game where this dude is just causing chaos in the opponent's backfield. Like, Tuli is not a reckless player, right? But he's a frantic player. He's an energetic player. He's a Tasmanian devil type of player.
Yes.
And he was super young, right? He turned 21 a week after the first game. To see what this dude has done now, 2 games in a row, right? Filling in for Joey Bosa while he's on a limited snap count. David, I put this on Twitter. There was moments where it felt like Tuli was the best defensive player on the field, and Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa were out there.
I mean, I think that there absolutely were moments. I mean, there were
stretches,
just consecutive plays.
Stretches.
Yeah, there were consecutive plays where Tuli was in Kirk Cousins' face every single time. And I loved how they used him as a rover, too. They moved him around. They kind of creeped him around the line of scrimmage. They put him over the guard. They move him over to the center. They'd move him over to the right tackle, the left tackle. They moved him all over the place. They were trying to get the best matchups, and Tuli rushes ferociously. It just doesn't really matter. He rushes way more mature than he is as far as his age. He is a grown man out there on the football field. The Chargers absolutely have struck gold. This guy is the real deal. Tuli Tuipulotu is a monster, and I am so excited that we get to watch him alongside Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack this season.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, Tuli Tuipulotu, a name you never forget, right? Like, it's crazy to see how quickly he's been able to make an impact. Like, in the wins, he gets here quick. And when he doesn't win quick, the motor's still there. The one sack that he actually had in today's game, besides the ones he set up, was just an effort play, right? Didn't beat the tackle around on the first go, but kept at it, ended up hitting Kirk from behind and getting the sack. And it felt like when the Chargers were getting off the field, it was because Tuli Tuipulotu was in the face of Kirk Cousins. And I think Brandon Staley is doing a good job of using him and where they're aligning him and how they're rushing. I love the 3 edge rusher package with all 3 of those guys in there, with Morgan Fox, who even on that play, Morgan Fox gets a sack. Tuli Tuipulotu, who kind of ran him into it, right? Yeah. Last week, both of Joey Bosa's sacks were set up by Tuli Tuipulotu.
I mean, he had to have close to 10 pressures in this one, Dan. I mean, pretty close.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the pressure numbers are tomorrow. I'm sure we'll probably talk about him, but man, through 2 games, it looks like this dude's, 2 starts, it looks like this dude's an absolute steal. He has left Chris Rumph in the dust as far as who's the next edge rusher on the field.
Yeah.
And made it so where even with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa healthy,
you got to put him on the field.
Fully healthy.
Yeah.
You can't, like, how do you limit this dude's snap counts? Like, how can you? He's been the best player for big stretches of this, these last 2 games. So it's crazy, man. But yeah, for the Chargers pass rush, 9 sacks now in the last 2 games, looking closer to what we hoped it would when you saw, even just Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack rushing at the same time with Morgan Fox. But we have to shout out Alohi Gilman too, man, because he had a really bad missed tackle early in this game.
Yeah.
Could not have responded any better than he did. He was a maniac out there. He was going for the football constantly. I loved what I saw from Alohi Gilman, and with Derwin James getting banged up in this game, like, the Chargers are going to need him now more than ever.
Alohi Gilman with the Khalil Mack grown man, give me that football move, man. That was awesome just to see that play. I mean, honestly, he should have had 2 turnovers. He absolutely forced that turnover. He forced that fumble going into, I mean, my goodness. I cannot believe they didn't even call forward progress. They didn't stop the play.
No, the whistle did not blow.
You're telling me that, like, the explanation was because the ball wasn't ripped out or fumbled immediately? Since when? Since when was that the rule? That's insane. That should have been a fumble. That would have been a huge game-changing play. Yeah. Thankfully, it didn't come back to haunt them, but he was all over the place. He was all over the football field. The Chargers don't win without the performance that he was able to give, especially with Derwin James going out of this ball game with a hamstring injury. So Alohi was, kind of a heart and soul player today. Also got to shout out K9 as well. I mean, I think Kenneth Murray over the last 2 games has really improved his game. I mean, it's just been a night and day type of situation for him, and the Chargers desperately need it, especially with Eric Kendricks being out.
Yeah, Alohi was great. Kenneth had some really big moments. Talked about the goal line stand. Alohi had one of those too, right? Just big hits, being physical on the goal line was great. But unfortunately, Dave, we do have to talk about Mike Williams, who got carted to the locker room in this game after having 7 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown from Keenan Allen. Man, we'll know more. I mean, we'll definitely probably have the update tomorrow after the MRI, but this would be a devastating loss if he is out, for a significant amount of time.
Oh man, I hope for the best, right? I mean, it definitely it didn't look great, but hopefully it was just one of those things that just looked worse than it actually was, because he had a fantastic game. I mean, 7 catches, 121 yards, that double pass touchdown, and he was having his way with that Viking secondary as well. I mean, I think if he was able to stay healthy, like, he has a much bigger game than we're talking about too. I mean, it might get close to what Keenan was able to achieve, but yeah, it's just sad to see that, and hopefully, it's nothing serious for Mike Williams.
Yeah, I mean, this is the concerning part to me. Tom Pelissero reported that after the game, right, he had to get carted from the locker room to the bus, so wasn't able to put any weight on it. He got rolled up by a defensive tackle from behind. Yeah. It's brutal, man. And going forward, if that is the case, Josh Palmer, who had a fumble in this game, I thought really made up for it with a, game-winning tip drill touchdown that he ended up catching. Another deep ball down the sideline. He made a good catch on to get a touchdown before the half set up, right? And Quentin Johnston, the rookie trial period ends completely for Quentin Johnston if the news comes back the way we're afraid it could, right?
Yeah,
that's
true.
it. But tonight, enjoy this win. Enjoy the Chargers' victory. Man, we could have been talking about 0-3 right now, and I won't forget
Thank
that.
God we're not. For my sanity, for the rest of this week, thank God the Chargers get the win.
Absolutely. And if the Chargers lost, I wouldn't be able to announce this because a new Charger fan is joining the mix. My wife is pregnant, and I couldn't wait to tell you guys. She put it out on social media today, so it's been a hectic even first couple weeks, of knowing about it, a month and a half of knowing about it. Hard not to tell you guys, but the newest Chargers fan is on their way due April 2024.
My brother.
So very excited about that. Very excited to let the cat out of the bag there, and excited the Chargers were able to get the win to let me tell the world, because my wife's been making me hold that in for a while, and I feel like I have to talk to you guys all the time. So it's hard not telling you guys everything because we are one big Chargers kind of family here, right? And I appreciate everyone who came out for tonight's show as well as the losses. It's important to us either way. But to make sure you don't miss shows going forward, like what we're talking about tomorrow when we get that Mike Williams update, make sure to follow or subscribe for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. Thank you to everyone again for helping out our Apple Podcast ratings. You guys have been unbelievable in that regard by leaving us so many reviews. I can't tell you how much that means to me and David here. I mean, it's just, it's crazy seeing you guys called into action. But make sure you guys are back. You can also find the show on all of our social media. You can find us on X or Twitter at LockedOnLAC. You can find me at Dan Talk Sports and David Drogemeyer at Dro Talk SD, as well as the show's page at LockedOnLAC. And we'll be back here with you tomorrow because we had to talk about Mike Williams and also J.C. Jackson, a healthy scratch from this game. We're getting to that tomorrow, guys. But until then, take it easy and go Bolts.